And it's really incredible. Most people don't realize you had a terrible accident. You fell off the stage, a really painful recovery you had, wearing a back brace, and then you basically hear through the grapevine that your record label, while you're down and out, your record label might be dropping you. You go into the studio, you record Substitute, and then the record label takes I Will Survive and puts it as a B-side. Firstly, why were they about to drop you at this terrible, terrible time? And what was their insight that basically they said that they didn't think that I Will Survive should be a major single that they relegated to a B-side?
Well, you know, I think that in the record companies, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. So that when my records weren't selling, you know, one group sees that my records aren't selling, the other group, they don't know that the other group isn't selling it. That people can't buy things that they don't know exist. So if there's no promotion, then, you know. So they came to the conclusion that because my records weren't selling, that, you know, I was a liability and they needed to just let me go. They determined that I Will Survive was not a song that they should be promoting because the record company president had chosen the other side and nobody wanted to book the president's baby. So they just wouldn't even listen to it because they didn't want to be swayed. Of course, after it became a hit, then everybody knew. Everybody chose it.
And what is the actual background story of I Will Survive, since it's such a fascinating story?
Well, when I'd heard that the record company was not going to renew my contract. I had fallen on stage, paralyzed from the waist down, ended up in hospital having surgery. God got my attention. I began to pray for answers and direction and all of that. And when I left the hospital, going home to recuperate, I just was, you know, resigned to God's going to show me something. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but, you know, he's going to show me something. Then the record company got a new president from England, where I was quite popular, and he'd had success with a recording in England, very aptly named Substitute. And he asked me, he wanted specifically me to record that song. When I got out to LA, I learned that the producers had made a deal that they would write the B-side. I asked them what was going to be the B-side. And they talked to me, they said, well, we want to know, you know, what kind of songs do you like to sing? What kind of emotions do you like to emit when you're singing? What kind of subject matter? And after talking to me, they said, well, we think you're the one we've been waiting for to record this song that we wrote a couple of years ago. And I'm thinking, ah, I see. You told them, write this song, put it over there, I'm going to send you somebody. Please, they do that. So I'm reading the lyrics of the song, and I'm thinking, what are you, stupid? You're going to put this on the B-side? They said, well, you know, this is the opportunity we have. So okay, not a problem, we'll deal with it. And we determined that we were going to take it to the record company and tell them, this is the song you should be promoting. Well, as I said, the record company wouldn't even listen to it, so we took it to Studio 54, very popular DJ there, had him play it, his audience loved it, which was a big sign to me because New York audiences are very jaded, they don't immediately love anything. Am I right? So we gave him a stack of them, he gave them to his DJ friends, they began to play it. People began to request it, then they started requesting it from radio stations because now they want to hear it on the way to work and on the way home. And the radio stations had called the record company, who had to say with much chagrin, you've already got it. It's on B-side of that other song. So then they flipped it, began to play it, and the rest is history.
Please tell us they let that president go.
Well, no.
We don't want to hear that he caused more damage to other artists over the years.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
And is it surprising to you that it became, this incredible song, became an anthem for women and men?
Yeah. It's not surprising to me at all, because when I read the lyrics, I was relating my situation, my circumstances to this song that had nothing to do with unrequited love, and I really believe that other people would do the same thing.
and you perform I Will Survive for Michael Jackson for the 30th anniversary concert.
Yeah.
Few knew him. You had experience, you knew him. What was he like?
Well, I didn't know him that well, but I did spend some time with him at a couple of dinners that I attended at mutual friends' homes. And I saw a couple of sides. One particular time, I saw Michael at a dinner, and he was very, very conversational, talking to everybody, very personable, very warm and open, and that was really wonderful. And then after a while, he was sitting at a table, on a couch, and there were some jelly beans on the table, and he had had a couple of drinks, I suppose. And he began, I'm sitting across from him watching him, and he's picking jelly beans out, and he's throwing them and looking around. I'm like, he's a child. He's a child. He's throwing jelly beans at people and pretending he didn't do it. And then, about an hour later, someone brings a child in. And we all know Michael was no longer handsome by that time. And when they brought this child in, I thought, he's going to scare this child. And they brought the child in, and the child climbed up into his lap, and I thought, oh, then I realized it was his son. And his son was sitting there with him, playing with him, and someone came over and offered the child some candy. And the child looked up at the person and looked back at Michael, looked back at the person and said, I'm not allowed. I said, he's a real parent. He's got this child, you know, trained not to eat garbage. You know, so there was another side of Michael. And then after my concert, he called me to tell me how much he enjoyed my concert and to thank me for dedicating the song I Will Survive to him. So there's another side of Michael Jackson. So very complicated, very, very nice, very sweet, kind, personable gentleman.
Very interesting. Could you tell us what the backstory is of I Never Can Say Goodbye and I Am What I Am?
Never Can Say Goodbye was a song that I'd admired hearing Michael sing. Loved it so much so that when I went into the studio to record it, I kept singing it like him. And my producer is saying, you can't sing it like Michael, you've got to do your own thing. And I'm like, I don't got my own thing. So he says, take it home, take the track home and sing it and get it together and come back tomorrow. And when I came in the next day, we were in the studio and I'm like, I'm so upset because I don't know how to do it any different. And I'm just really, really angry. And I go in the studio and I'm singing it. And when I finish the last note, I'm thinking to myself, and that's it, and that's all I can do. If you don't like it, it's too bad. And he goes, that's a take. So, whew, great. So as you can hear, it is completely different from Michael's version of it. So that was great. I Am What I Am. My producer went to see La Cage aux Folles on Broadway. He fell in love with that song, called me and said, I have a great idea for an arrangement for a song that I heard in the play. And I'd like you to hear it, and I'd like you to do it. And I heard it, and I thought, he's got a great idea here. So we recorded it, and it turned out to be a hit.